Okay, this is our last class before break. All right. All right. Okay, so that being said, all right, so the quiz scores are in. Okay. All right, so all right, let's go over really quickly. Now, again, you guys got my email yesterday about the exam. I thought I'd already told you guys that. Okay. Now, I emailed you guys the book. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. So I emailed you guys the book. All right. How many of you saw your email? Okay, good. All right. So you have 2 chapters that you have to read. They're probably about 30 to 40 pages each. Okay. You will be quizzed on them, again, specific questions pertaining to the way that they explained it inside the book. Okay. The book it's not too difficult to read. It's actually pretty easy compared to any other Java book that's out there. And they do a great job explaining objects and inheritance and methods and method overloading. And specifically, I'll tell you right now, an is a versus a has a relationship. That is something that I have not covered, okay? And is important to inheritance. We will discuss it. Again, a is a versus a has a relationship, okay? So that's some of the things that we're going now. Again, you guys should be able to. There's no excuse. You guys should be able to open it and stuff like that. If you open, this isn't like a Blue Pelican. This one isn't like there's no ribbons or anything that take you to the chapter. You should be able to open it in preview or anything like that. Okay. Can you all confirm that you check your email to make sure that you've got the book? Okay. Uma, you are 5 minutes late. Why? Uma, why are you 5 minutes late?
If I tell you I had to take my dog out of the bathroom and he wasn't going, would you actually believe me? Because that's what happened.
Okay, awkward. All right.
Stop!
Okay.
Daily meteorology fact.
No meteorology facts today. Okay, so that being said, all right, this is our last class. So what I'm going to do is if you feel like you guys need any help or anything like that with inheritance or inheritance related questions, I'm loading up my clips right now and sharing my screen. If you feel like you've got it, then you get a free pass today. Enjoy it. It doesn't rarely happen. Okay. But if you need help, I have this open. Okay. And I can answer any questions regarding anything. Okay. Lance, yes.
Are we ever going to be quizzed on what was on the array PowerPoint a few days ago?
On the what?
The array PowerPoint?
Yes, you will. Okay. Yes, you won't be. So here's the thing. Even if I don't quiz you on it, you will be tested on it. Okay. So even though I introduced it to you, I may not give you a quiz on it, but I will test you on it. Okay. Because I can tell you right now that one of the free response I have for your next exam, it's going to be a lot easier if you know how to use any of those tools. Okay. All right. Questions? Uma, or actually Will was first. What's up, Will?
You ask questions about meteorology?
No. You need to be asking as many coding questions as you can. Uma, what's up?
Okay. My question was, so I, for some reason, keep getting confused between the difference between local variables and then like a private int variable. I know this difference, but what is it? What is it?
Okay, so basically, all right. So you got to look at it this way. So when I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let me share it. So basically, what it is okay. Whenever we create a variable that is going to be used throughout, okay, or any variable that's going to be initialized by a constructor, okay, or anything. So basically, I'll just put it this way. Anything that is, right now we are what's called root level, okay? We're just inside the class, okay? So if I say int age, okay, string name, all right? These are considered global variables. They are created at the class level, okay? But if I say something like this, public int set name, int p, and then I say int x equals 5, and then I say return x times p, okay, or whatever, all right? So both p and x would be considered local variables, okay? Because let's say, for example, I wanted to refer to x outside, x equals 5, okay? I couldn't do that. Anything that is created within the framework of a method, now notice that the parameters are located within the framework of a method signature. So anything with internally created within this, in the signature, or for example, in a process like a for loop or an if statement. So for example, if I said if p equals 6, int w equals 5, that int w would be a local variable as well. Now this w, okay, wouldn't, take a look what happens, okay? W wouldn't even be readable outside of the if statement because it only exists within the if. So if it's declared, that's the most important part, Uma, is where it's declared. If it's declared within, you won't ever see anything like this, by the way. This is just kind of showing you that if it, like, this is an if statement example, okay? This is a method example, okay? These will be local. That's why I look on the free response. They will give you these and they'll tell you to do something with them, okay? That's what those are, okay? That's what a global variable is. Global variable is declared at the class level. Local variables are declared at the, basically within the process or within the method structure, okay? As well, global variables can be used anywhere. Locals have to reside in here.
Yeah, I had like one more question. Is that okay?
Can I answer Gary's first, and then I'll come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
So when you
yeah,
talk-
hold on one second. If you guys feel comfortable, don't waste your time here. If you guys feel like you want to just chill and whatever, that's cool. But if you feel like you're comfortable, you have permission to go. Like, for example, I can tell Dylan, you're fine to go. You're okay to go. Okay. You've been, you made some dumb moves on your last couple of quizzes. So I don't know if it's the blonde coming through and seeking in, you know, almost becoming permanent. No offense, Lance, but so, all right, Gary, what's up?
So when you're talking about like extending a method, what's the order? So it's like, say you have like a super, like the.
Don't extend a method. You extend a class.
Oh, sorry, you extend the class. I mean.
It's always, always, always the subclass extends the superclass. So for here, I have class person, class student extends person.
Yeah. So my question was, when you go through the constructor for like a student object, do you run through the student one and then go to the person, or do you go to the
No,
person?
so for example, let's say, for example, I'm going to do this. So public person int x or int age string name. Okay. So I'm just going to make the constructor real quick. All right.
Yeah.
And oops. All right, that's fine. Actually, let me just lowercase it just so we can see the views, even though it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is a constructor, and what do the rules of extension say? That if the superclass has a constructor that accepts parameters, you must also have one. Okay, you don't run through it though. Okay, because student is not the same class as a person. You're taking person and you're going to make it your own and refine it. So you have to. So you basically just have to say student, public student, and at minimum, Because this accepts 2 parameters, you want to say int age, string name. Now, can you add on more? Yes, you can. Okay, and then super age and name. Okay, you don't go through the person constructor first and then the student. The person constructor the person constructor doesn't exist in student. Again, remember that extending is a fancy way of saying copy and paste. But because you can't really copy the constructor, what you're copying over is the requirement for the constructor. It's
Okay,
a
I see.
completely, you're not going to make a public person in a student class, but because this has one, you're copying over the rules. So this is saying, you got to make a constructor for this class because I need to initialize the variables that you're inheriting.
Okay, I see.
That's basically it. That's like the best way to look at it. Like you need a constructor because in the superclass, I'm initializing these variables to my constructor. You need to do the same thing in order to initialize the variables you're inheriting.
Okay, I got it.
All right, Uma, back to you.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify. So for private variables, or those can only be used within like that class, right? So if you have another class.
Exactly. So for example, yeah. So they can be used within. So for example, yeah. So take a look here. If I say public int age and I did private string, okay. Now I can actually say here, I can say age equals 5 here, okay? Sorry, this dot age. Why is this not? Oh, so that's weird. No, I should have access to it. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, okay, so perfect. So you can see how I say age equals 5, how I just overwrote the value of it. Okay, the reason why I'm allowed to do this in this case is because age right up here, okay, it's public, which means I have direct, even though I extended it, I have access to it. I can't do the same thing with name. Okay, the reason why, oh, what the hell? Oh, I take it back. I take it back. That, you know why I did that is because, no, I still shouldn't. Private string name, that should have given me a null. That's weird. Why did it do? Oh, you know what it's doing? This dot name. There we go. That gives me an error. Okay. But if I say this dot age, okay, notice how I have no error on age, but I have an error on name.
So
And-
even when you
Go ahead.
So even when you extend a class, it doesn't take the private.
No,
the
it
private
does
variable.
take. So it does take the private. Here's the problem, though. Okay, so you're never, and I can tell you guys this. I just wanted you guys to get the rules down. You will never have a question like this. Never. Always, it will be inheriting private because they want you to get into the habit of this. Okay. Notice how this instantly became an error. So Uma, you are inheriting the variables, but because they're private, what you lose is this ability to directly access them.
Oh,
That's what-
okay.
So Uma, that is why we have getters and setters. Okay, specifically a setter. Let's say that I say public int set age, int age, and I do this dot age equals age, return age. Okay. All right. So I have my setter up here, right? Now, let's say in this student class, I needed to be able to change the value of age. Now I can't do that because I lost direct access. However, my set age is capable of doing it. And I inherited my set age. So basically the set age is acting like the middleman. You tell me what you want to change it to. I'll change it for you and I'll spit it back out to you. Okay. Now also remember, guys, a lot of times with get age, you're almost always going to have a return statement. With setters, it's a 50-50 because a lot of times it's just changing it for you. You don't necessarily need to spit anything back. Okay. So so the way you gain access, Uma, is with getters and setters. That's why they're so important with private variables. Okay, anyone else?
So when you have a two-string in both like the superclass and the subclass, does like the subclass get like an overridden two-string?
Say that again.
So if you have a two-string in both of the classes and one extends the other, when you run the second class, will it just only run like its own two-string and not like the
Yeah, so you're
two-string?
technical. So because again, so Lance, great question. So here's the thing though. What the hell is going on, Euban? What is going on? Okay, now here's the difference, Lance. Think about it. A two-string is going to basically spit out what your global variables are initialized to, right? You're going to inherit that method and you have to use super in the constructor and it's going to initialize them. There's no need to really override two-string. So if you actually put the two-string and you change it in this extended class, it is going to spit out what you wanted in the extended class. Now, when would that make sense? Let's say that you needed another variable here, int or double GPA, okay? And you wanted to spit out the GPA, then yes, you would need to override the two-string method, okay? So yeah, so that you would need to do, all right? But otherwise, there really is no reason to touch the two-string method. You would just kind of leave it as is, unless again, you've got another thing that you would want to print out. Then you would go ahead and override it. And yes, it would just print out the overridden one. Because you gotta look at it this way. The two-string, Lance, it is a method. So overriding applies to it.
Okay, so what also you need to use like when you return it in the two-string, when you need to use like get name.
Yes. So for example, remember we had some students before that when, let's say, for example, I wanted to do this two-string. In my C block class, I had this. I don't remember if I had it here. Okay. But you could do it this way. So if I did public string two-string, and here's the thing. So right off the bat, you could say return name. Oops. What the bollocks? What the hell? Name, here we go. Plus name plus age plus age, okay? So there we go. So this is fine because it's happening here, right? But the smart thing to do to make sure that there's no errors, it's almost just like hedging your bets. It will still work, okay? But a smart thing to do would be, you would say get name. You would call on the actual get name method. Then what's happening is you don't have to worry about anything. The middleman is getting it for you. And as long as that method exists within the class, it's going to work. Okay. That's the smarter way to do it because then you're not going to really run into any pitfalls. Thanks for agreeing, Alex. I appreciate it. Yes. Thanks for not. Okay. Anyone else? Again, guys, we have the time. Okay. Inheritance can get a little tricky, but we have the time. Most of the time, people just get confused with the super keywords. Yes, Lance.
So on like the quizzes, you had like system that outputs in like the constructor. I'm kind of confused on what that does.
So what a lot of people like to do is this. Let me drag the tester class over here. So what a lot of programmers like to do is they like a message to know or to show. They like a message that shows, okay, that the program completed correctly. Okay. So for example, in this constructor right here, okay, I could say student created. And what this is, if you notice, there's no return type, correct? On the, if you notice, there's no return type on the constructor. So if I say student X equals new student, and then I say, okay, so I say this, right? Everything looks good. Oh, whoops, I got it mixed up, sorry. Fuck. All right, so there we go. All right, so basically you got to look at it this way. When you're making the constructor, you are theoretically running this method. Okay, and what does this method say? Initialize variable, but it also says print out the student. Okay, student created. A lot of programmers like to do that because they can keep track and say, okay, it's almost like, for example, when I'm programming web design, like for example, when we were doing the button in Swift, we just had, even though they'll never see it, we would print out a statement on the console that said button pressed, button pressed, button pressed, just testing to make sure that it worked correctly. But take a look at this. Sys out person created. Okay. Ah. Okay. It prints out both. What super does, again, you have to look at super. When we talk about super in regards to a method, what super is saying is do everything that was in the method first. Or, or do your code, and then if you call super, then do everything that was in the method. Super is basically saying do what the method was supposed to do in the super class before you overrode it. In the constructor, super is basically saying, again, it has to be the first word, do everything in the constructor first. Initialize via protocol. But you are also inheriting this print statement. That's what you have to know. You are inheriting everything. Super is just, but with age and name, it's kind of a shortcut to say, I'll initialize, give me the variables in the way you initialize them, and I will initialize them for you. You're still going to get everything else, but you have to do that as well. Understood? Okay. So as you can see, if you see something like this, which you would see, you are inheriting, and this was kind of like one of your questions on your quiz. You're inheriting, and this was in your book in regards to inheritance. You're inheriting everything. So including the person created. The super right here assures that this is going to happen. Okay. Does that help, Lance? Is that a good explanation? You got it? Okay. Anybody else? Anyone? We got the time, guys. I've got it right here. I've got it open. Lance again. Yes.
So do we need to use super if we do an extended class?
In the so if you're a professional programmer, it depends on the program that you're writing, because sometimes you'll write a simple program that won't need a constructor. It'll just need a default constructor. So you won't need to use super. There's no need to. However, for this class, for the AP, if you're extending, and I've already told you 10 times out of 10, you're going to get a constructor with parameters. Yeah, you're going to need to use super. Okay.
And then
now, but super with methods, hit or miss. They literally go 4 to 5 years between being able to use super in a method, et cetera, et cetera. I rarely see it. Okay, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
I was gonna say, are we gonna need to know how to use like the super in a method?
Yes, 100%. Again, because that's common practice as a programmer. Beyond common practice. I'm not training you for a test. I mean, sadly, I am training you for a test, but I'm also training you to program. And I use super all the time.
Can we go over an example where we use it in a method?
Let's see. What's a good method for a person that, let's say a kid, that they would have the ability to do something, but also another ability related to the same thing. Okay, let's take a look at this. No, wait. Oh, this is a tough one, but with what I have, I can think of in terms of like bank accounts, like interest rates and stuff like that. So, shoot. All right, let's say this, for example, I'm going to do this. All right. So public int set age, this dot age equals age. Okay. Now, as a student, okay, let's say, ah, shoot, you got me here. I'm trying to think, just brain fart. I hate you, Lance. All right. Okay, let's just work with the set age. Okay, so for example, let's just say that with the set age, okay, let's say that I needed to, when you're a student, your age determines like a qualification, okay? And I need to change your age to a qualification number, okay? Let's say if you're a freshman, okay? Let's say if you're a freshman, you go by 1.5, all right? So I need to change your age to 1.5. So I say public int set age, okay? Int age. The minute that I do this, this is all erased, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say int new age equals super.age. Okay. Super.set age, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this by 1.5. And then I'm going to return new age. Oh, whoops, I can't have a double. Let's just say 2. Okay, sorry. So what I just did, return new age. Oh, whoops. Sorry about that. Okay, so what I just did is the minute this happened, all of this got deleted. Or I'm sorry, where is it? All of this got deleted. So what I then did is I sent int new age equals, and I called on the age that I'm going to be setting, okay? And what that does is it overrides the current age variable that I have in this class. Okay, and then I take that and I multiply it by 2. Then I store it in new age. Then I return new age. Okay, so it will still run the overriding, and then I just multiply that by 2. That is how I keep track of the age. Okay. All right. Whew. Let me think of a better example. It's tough with the person one. But that's basically how I would use it, or how you would use it. You would call on it. You have to remember that whenever you're calling on a method, you still need to use it the way that it was set up. And you have to remember, if it returns something, you better return it. You better do something with that data. Okay, anyone else? Now, again, Lance, more often than not, you're not going to, you might see super on 2 multiple choice questions. You're not going to see it anywhere. The only time you would use super, I'm telling you right now, in the free response, the only time you would use super, Lance, is if you are inheriting a class, or you're extending it. Then you would have to use the super keyword. Only time. Okay, anyone else? Henry, any questions?
Nothing specifically right now.
Are you sure?
No, not really.
Okay. Logan, bruh. Will? Oh, go ahead. Logan.
When you declare an integer,
Yeah.
If you try to use it, that's an error code, or is it 0?
If you just declare it, by default, it's 0. Okay. If you're trying to print it or something like that, yeah, you couldn't be able to use it. But let's say you tried to print the value of it, it's 0. Like if you're making a reference to it.
And if you declare a string without initializing it, then it's just null.
It'll be a null. Yeah. Okay. Because remember, anything numerical. So just look at it this way. Anything numerical, 0 or 0.0. Any object, inclusion of strings, null. But the actual word null, not open close quotes. Well, any questions?
Right now.
Yubin. Uma? Any questions?
I kind of asked all my like I need this answered questions. Now I'm just like listening in case I'm dumb and I'm missing something.
Okay, bye. Any questions? All right, guys, I'm not going to waste your time here. So if you guys don't have any questions, we went over some good review questions. Lance, you asked some good questions. Uma as well. So I'm going to post this as the review. Remember that your homework assignment, okay, is to read. The very first day that we get back, you guys will have a worksheet that you guys will need to do, okay? It'll be like a quiz style worksheet, okay? Now, and again, it's going to be specifically related to what's in that book, all right? Specifically, like one of the topics I'm going to go after, the is a versus has a relationships. Now that's more interface. You're going to learn a little bit about interfaces. Don't worry about those. Interfaces are easy. Pray to God you get an interface question. Like literally pray to God you get an interface question, because the way I teach it, it's an easy 9 points. Okay. So, all right. That's it. I will let you guys go. Have a great Thanksgiving. Remember, the holidays are coming up. I accept all bribes and form of monetary gifts. I'm kidding you guys. Take care. Bye. Have a good one, guys.